Hello folks, Hot Rod Rodney 25 coming back with another video. This is going to be sort of like a, not really a mail call because I didn't get this in the mail, but I went down to a guy down in Boonesboro that I had bought O-scale stuff from before. And he, on eBay, he had this 2029 O-gauge engine that smoked. It's a locomotive. It's a 2.6-4 locomotive, as you can see right there. If I can... right there. And this is a reproduction lionel tender, which is number, I can get that to focus, I think it's a number 234W, which means, the W means whistle tender. The whistle I got to work. It has some kind of little circuit board in it, which I think is was hooked up wrong. So I just unhooked it completely, just for the fact that, you know, my dad and I never used whistles that much anyway. He always unhooked one wire on his. And I just went ahead and just unhooked it until I get other time to investigate what could be possibly wrong. When I got this thing, it started running over here on my dad's test track, which goes down the whole length of our workbench shelf there. And basically, it tried to run, but it was like it was shorting out. So I had this thing totally apart yesterday after I had just got went down the road and got it, and it was like it was shorting, you know, drawing a lot of juice out of the bumper bulb that was lit up and drawing a lot of juice out of the locomotive bulb. I thought, okay, well, I tore it apart. I thought maybe got wires, the antique, you know how the factory wires they look antique, kind of like what you used to have in a house. It was like a cloth looking wire back then, before they had sheathing on stuff. Well, the antique wires didn't look real bad. They was kind of up against one another, so I separated them, put a temporary piece of electrical tape on the one so it wouldn't bang or rub against the opposite wire. And I put it all back together, put it on the track, and it seemed to have like part of the E unit, which to some of you guys that don't know what an E unit is, it's a reverse unit. We call them E units in the lionel world, in ways, I guess, you know, some other scales probably have such thing as an E unit. But anyway, it acted like it was still had a short. So I got to looking at it, and of course there's a rod right here that you gotta drive out to get your back of your motor out, and there's a screw up top right here behind the bell that you got to take out to drop the front of the drive arms and motor. And of course then 2 screws under here to take your cow catcher and front end off. But I got to looking at it, and when I took and drove this rod back in, I must have not have seen that one of those wires was in underneath that rod. Well, so I drove the rod back out carefully, took and put the wire up above the rod, drove the rod back in, put it over here on the test track, and it works just like brand new. I mean, it's smoking. Well, it was smoking before, but it's smoking. It runs. The light's bright. The bumper and everything is bright on the track voltage and everything. So I'm kind of pleased that, for no experience with some of this stuff besides what I had watched my dad do some on his over the years and helped him, I got this thing running like it's supposed to be running. All I have to do is add some grease to the gears when I find my dad's grease. My dad kind of packed a bunch of stuff up to keep his workbench and desk over here clean. Unfortunately, it got piled up because of me cleaning, and you can see that I've cleaned some over here. I'm trying to find the workbench because I'm going to make one side of the workbench or repair bench like a building area, and the other side like a repair area. That way I don't have one or the other in my way if I need the space. Now that my dad's gone, I now own all his Lionel stuff, which I will always refuse to get rid of. A lot of it came off of eBay for him, and Facebook groups and yard sale, well, not necessarily yard sales, but train shows and different places like that. But anyway, I'm kind of glad that I got another 2029. And in case nobody knows, there is two versions of this. Technically two versions. Both of them, as far as I know, both versions smoke. Some of them might not have came with a smoke unit, but anyway, the difference between, or nice thing about these engines and the story behind them, Lionel Corporation came from their location back then, and they was once in New Jersey for a while. Okay, I don't know if they went to New Jersey after or before, but they came sometime into Hagerstown and was only in Hagerstown, Maryland, not Indiana, Hagerstown, Maryland, for like a year. Well, this is when this engine was produced in Hagerstown, Maryland. And when they produced them and manufactured them, or whatever you want to call it, if I can get this to focus, this is the regular tag that Lionel, there it is, that Lionel has put on most of their engines. Okay, the other one that is more rare has the same tag, but down below, instead of saying the Lionel Corporation, it says Hagerstown, Maryland. So, which I have, my dad and I had got one of those off of eBay, and I will show you that here in a second if I can zoom in on it. It's way up there on that passenger train right there, my dad's original passenger train, and I made that tender up that says Hagerstown, Maryland. But there is a Lionel tender that actually is stamped Hagerstown or Hagerstown, Maryland, which unfortunately no one will probably ever find because they probably only made, you know, so many of them, and I'm sure the collectors done got their hands on them, or, you know, I know where one possibly is. It might be in our Hagerstown Roundhouse Museum. You know, maybe most of them might be there. I don't know. Could be some down in Baltimore in them museums. I'm sure they went to a train museum somehow and got took. But anyway, that engine on that passenger train is stamped, or the plate on the bottom, on the contact plate, is Hagerstown, Maryland. I've also, when my dad and I originally bought that engine off of eBay, there was something wrong with the motor on it, and I found another motor as this engine was already, at the same time this engine was bought, I found another motor that also had another plate on it that said Hagerstown, Maryland. So I've got an extra nameplate, contact plate, if I ever need it, for some reason. But that's basically the difference between the two. One's marked Hagerstown, one's marked Lionel. I mean, it's marked Lionel on the Hagerstown one. It's just Hagerstown, Maryland, and then this one says the Lionel Corporation. So there was, it's basically just that plate. But anyway, I just thought I'd share this. This is a reproduction tender. It actually don't really go with this engine. So I'm not sure exactly the number of the tender that goes with that engine, but it don't really matter. They all fit. All it is the drop of the tongue right there into the tender slot, and you can pull any tender behind it that's that gauge. Anyway, guys, sorry for the shakiness of the camera. I've mowed grass most of the day, or most of the morning, so I'm down here in the train shed going to try to get something done now. So until the next video, I hope you enjoyed this one. Like I said, this ain't really a mail call. It's kind of a pickup eBay item, but it's a number 2029. Same way with the one up there on the passenger train that I showed you. But I'm going to get started down here, guys. doing some more cleaning up and certain stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. Hot Rod Rodney 25 out.